So I wanted to share the story about how my life completely crumbled after leaving the Royal Marines. And there are two reasons that I want to share this with you. Number one, I want to be able to inspire and encourage you to realize that no matter how low you are right now, whether it's running your business, whether it's relationship issues, whether it's financial or whether it's family, that you can still come back from anything. You can still shift the way that you are living your life now, just with a shift and reframe of your mindset. And number two, I think it's really important to understand about where I'm coming from in terms of why I am helping men and why I'm dedicating my time, my energy to serve those men that want to change the way that they show up. So I'm going to take you back to the 23rd of September 2011, and that is when I left the Royal Marines. The reason that I left the job that I loved the most, the reason that I left a job that I was absolutely thriving at, was because I was only seeing my kids on average 3 to 4 hours a month. And I was traveling 700 miles round trip for that privilege. And after months of doing that, it just slowly took its toll. And I realized that I had to make a very key decision as to whether I was going to spend the rest of my life living like this, with a slightly disconnected relationship with my wife and my kids, or I was going to take the plunge and leave the job I love the most to be around them. The fact that I'm sitting here will tell you exactly the decision that I made. Now, when I left, I had no idea that I was about to fall off a cliff. In my mind, this was going to be a walk in the park. I was simply going to transition from the military and walk straight into civilian life like I'd never left it. And I actually couldn't be more wrong. And there are three key reasons that contributed to that. The first one is the identity transition. I went from being a 9-year Royal Marine where I achieved great things. I've become a sniper instructor, physical training instructor, adventure training instructor. I traveled the world, I trained men. I lived my best life. And when I left, I was Sergeant James Boardman. And the problem is, when I walked into the college that I was going to be teaching at, there was no place for Sergeant James Boardman, but I could not let go of the identity. And I tried to uphold the Sergeant James Boardman identity in a world where it just couldn't coexist. This caused monumental mental and emotional stress and pressure. And so much so, I struggled with PTSD, and the trauma caused me to drink and to neglect myself on a monumental level. The second reason was that I had lost all purpose. In the Royal Marines, I had these flashes on either arm that said Royal Marine Commando. And every time I put that on, every single day with my green lid, that invoked a purpose. Everything that I worked for had to be that status, that man. And that no longer existed. When I put on my polo shirt for my Bexhill College role, that had no impact on me. In fact, I fell even further into pit following that job with misplaced management, with misaligned goals, and kids that just didn't want to show up. I was at the very bottom when it came to fulfillment and happiness because I'd lost my purpose completely. And the third one was that I had stopped training. The one thing that had got me going, the one thing that had created me, and the one thing that gave me alignment and fire, I stopped. And I piled on the weight. And I carried on drinking, and I ate whatever I wanted to because I was in a victim state. I led with a victim mentality moving forwards. Over the first 3 years of leaving the Royal Marines, I had managed to get divorced, become an alcoholic, pile on the weight, and got to the very brink of a suicide attempt, where I sat at the edge of my bed with numerous pills, a bottle of Jack Daniels, ready to put myself asleep, hoping that I would never wake up. This very point was the very end of my very first life that I knew. Because when I turned around and saw the picture of the 2 kids that were mine, that I had left my job for, and I realized in that moment that I was letting them down, that I was about to attempt to strip them of a father, I woke up. I got out the house with my running trainers, and I planned to go for a walk for half an hour. And I ended up running, walking, crying, laughing. And I went through this period of just trying to lift the black cloud that followed me everywhere. And I came home 3 hours later, And I looked at the environment in my room where I nearly took my own life, and I woke the fuck up. This point was where I started my second life. In the months that followed that near attempt on my own life, I started showing up at a much higher level. I went back to my roots as a Royal Marine Commando. I hired help to help me with mental and emotional issues. I started training and running every single day and avoiding all alcohol. I started prioritizing myself again. I started finding direction. I started winning on a daily basis. I started aligning myself to goals, to what I now know as missions, to pull me in the right direction and further away from that guy. I now have that identity and that guy to remind me every single day to keep moving forwards, to keep taking charge, and to keep being self-inspired, to be a role model for my kids and the men that I work with. Those 3 years taught me an awful lot, and it made me want to go on my own journey of entrepreneurship. So I did. I quit my job, I took a huge risk, and I started my boot camp, which lasted 7 years right up until COVID. I met my wife, I had 2 more kids, I built a business from £6,000 a year to £106,000 a year by just watching YouTube videos and working relentlessly. In 2017, I wrote this book to help men with the same struggles that I did. And you didn't have to be in the military to get something from it. It was the reflection in the mirror that men needed. In 2021, I started dedicating my whole career to working with men. I wanted to help men find their alignment, build their mission, save their marriages, and become something they never thought that was possible, which is why I wrote book number 2. Because men had no direction. They didn't know how to build a mission. They didn't know how to show up at the next level. And that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to help those men find their mission, build their life, and live out their legacy. And that's where we sit today, continuously helping men in our coaching program, constantly holding them accountable to do what they said they were going to do. And if you are watching this and you resonate and you know that you need to raise your game, then you can come and chat to me. You can drop me an Instagram message with the word ready. The link is in the description. Just simply message me. It doesn't commit you. It just means that we can have a chat to see if I can help you. And if you want to see if what we do works, click right here and watch the playlist on the case studies on some of our clients that we've worked with on a closer level and how their lives have changed. I'm a big believer that no matter what position that you're in, you can achieve anything that you want as long as you get this primed in the right way.